Hello, welcome back! Our first tea of the day is Hojicha, and it's stored in this Kiki's delivery service case that my friend Suru-chan got me from the Ghibli store in Tokyo. I'm curious about what your favorite Ghibli movie is, if you've seen it. Kiki's is definitely one of mine, but I think my favorite has to be Howl's Moving Castle. Spirited Away gets second place, I think. So to make one small pot, I'm going to use about 2 teaspoons of this. And now we add hot water. So even though Hojicha is a green tea, I treat it kind of like a black tea because it's roasted, so I pour the water when it just turns off. Otherwise, I would let the water cool down a couple minutes, like with sencha or kabusecha. And the water, I believe, should be about 210 degrees. I'm not sure if it's the same for Hojicha. I'm not an expert. But this is how I like it. This one I steep about 3 minutes, but it's one of the few green teas that I don't mind just leaving it the whole time. For example, with sencha, if I let it steep for more than 2 or 3 minutes, it would become really bitter. So in my experience, you can find Hojicha in just about any cafe or coffee shop in Japan, but it's kind of weird to order it because you're only supposed to drink it at home, maybe at night. So I'd go to a Starbucks and I'd be like, can I have a cup of Hojicha? And the barista would be like, do you mean Hojicha latte? Because it was super weird. And I'd be like, no, straight Hojicha. And even after all that, they still accidentally made me a Hojicha latte. At the airport, actually, I ordered green tea and this type of green tea based soup, and the girls behind the counter laughed at me. My friends didn't know why they laughed at me, but they said it's something that old men get after they've finished a day of work or something. Despite the social pressure, I still get it whenever I'm there because it's really good. But whenever I do just get Hojicha, I preface it by saying, it's a really foreigner type of thing, but could I have Hojicha? So in Japanese, I prefaced it, 本当に外人っぽいですか? But could I have some Hojicha? Seriously. Speaking of Japan, it is time for the book review. The Hojicha is done steeping, so I'm going to put it in this mug. It has a little fox and cherry blossoms and a pink inside, and it's perfect. So for an embarrassing amount of months, I've still been doing the Read the World Challenge, where I try to read one book from every country in the world, including some that are maybe not official, but consider themselves their own country. Unexpectedly, I found the book that I'm going to use for my Japan read. This is the book At Night, I Become a Monster. It's by the same author who wrote I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, Yoru Sumino. Despite the title, I actually cried. It's really sad. Anyway, it was just supposed to be a fun, light read for me. I didn't think it would be long or dense enough to be part of my challenge, but there were themes in it that really stuck with me. Themes like how you treat outsiders, conventionality versus being unconventional, and then your persona versus your inner self. These things are really relevant to Japanese society. So the plot briefly is about the protagonist who turns into a monster every night. He has no idea why. Through a series of events, the protagonist spends every night hanging out with the school outcast. But during the day, when he's human, he sort of remains a bystander to intense bullying that she goes through. He and the other students kind of rationalize it by saying if she didn't have such a abrasive and unconventional personality, if she changed herself, then maybe things would be better for her. Through it all, she still remains very good-natured to the protagonist, but she finally asks, which one is the real you? The monster at night or the human during the day? During the day, he's devoted to fitting in, even if it completely changes him and leads him to bully his new friend along with the rest of his classmates. So she wonders why he acts more like a monster during the day and more human at night. A sort of offshoot concept in Japanese is honne, and tatemae. This is essentially your public versus private face, your inner desires and feelings and thoughts versus what you present to the outside world. It's actually something I think about whenever I see celebrities, and YouTubers are a big one, and also just people on social media in general. There are so many curated personalities and positivity and fun things you see on Instagram, which everyone's pretty much aware of by now, how curated it is. But what I wonder is how much of it is fake? If it comes from you, can it really be called fake? For example, the persona I display in these videos is really different from how I act towards friends in real life, but at the same time, I'm doing what comes naturally, so it feels authentic to me. Photos and videos can be manipulated, so those can really be fake. But I believe there must be some essence of you in whatever persona or shallower aspects of personality you display. My voice is very gravelly. Let's try Hojicha. Still good. So anyway, I thought that there has to be some essence to that person, no matter what their persona or the shallower aspects of their personality. It's kind of like when an actor plays a character, they bring something to that character that no other actor can bring because it's from themselves. It doesn't matter if they're so different from that character, there's still something of them. So instead of outright saying this person is fake, I try to use what they show me to look deeper into their personality. It's kind of like different facets to a soul. It feels kind of exhausting because I think every human is sort of monitoring which facet to show people and when, depending on the situation, the individual. Being human is a hard thing to do. Alright, well that's it. See you next week, hopefully. Trying to keep to a schedule. Moi moi!